So remember that little matter of the attempted murder of President Trump? July 13th, 2024. Yeah, that. It's kind of faded away, hasn't it? One of the reasons why it faded away really quick is the Democrats, the dominant media, they were afraid that this moment helped Donald Trump politically. Maybe it did. Maybe it did. But more importantly, he is at risk. This is very, very bad, and we have seen minimal momentum in the reform department from the Secret Service, and this man will be exposed for the next 4+ years, and Inauguration Day is 2 months from today. Talk about an opportunity for a bad guy to do something bad, right? He's going to be in the middle of it all, 2 million people watching in person. Anything can happen, and I am really glad this reportedly could be in the works. Dan Bongino, are you familiar? The great conservative content maker, podcaster, more importantly, an experienced and brave former Secret Service agent. This guy knows the agency like few do. Hey, he was guarding Obama, just a few years ago. That's Dan Bongino, about a decade or so ago, in the sunglasses, guarding President Trump. Now, he's kept tabs on the service, and they're talking to him. And I don't think there's any guy better prepared to take over that struggling, failing agency. Have you seen him lately, whether he's doing his show or testifying? This is the guy for the job, Director of the Secret Service. Let's pray it happens.
You think this is the last incident, you're out of your mind. We have seen these incidents over and over. We saw the Georgia grenade incident with President Bush. They overtook the magnetometers. The Secret Service leadership in charge now with the exact same people. Exact same. Can you imagine a C-suite at a company that makes widgets? We find out that there's a design defect. The widget explodes and kills 10 people, and the CTO gets a promotion to CEO. You understand that's what happened here, correct? These are the same people. Kim Cheadle, the director, wasn't even fired. She was allowed to resign. She'll go get some cushy job somewhere, and her deputy, who is one of the guys behind these stupid waste of time things like agents wearing red ties on the detail. Because this actually happened, by the way. These people will tell you this under oath if you get the right people. He was concerned about the tie color of the agents on the detail because it seemed to imply he supported President Trump. Congressman Biggs wearing a red tie. You're wearing a semi-red tie. It has nothing to do with anything. This is the kind of stuff the Secret Service was actually wasting their time with while withholding CSU counter surveillance assets and counter sniper assets from probably the most threatened man on earth. If you can explain it, good luck, because that's not the agency I worked for.
Wow. The agency he worked for is not changing fast enough. The whole thing has to be reformed top to bottom, and he's the guy to do it. I mean, just think what they got away with. This is Kimberly Cheadle, who was the director of the Secret Service. Here she is lying on national television, and she gets away with it.
Should that roof have been secure, period?
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, you know, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, you know, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
Okay, that's not true. That's a total lie. And she was caught, and it was just like, so what? Here she is getting caught. She just said the slope. There's no regulation to that effect. Pat Fallon, good job.
So you said, do you remember in an ABC interview you did that you didn't have people on the roof of the AGR building because you were worried about safety because of the slope?
I recall that statement.
Okay. Does the Secret Service have written policy you can share with us about sloped roofs?
No.
Okay.
So she got to retire. She wasn't fired. Could it possibly be that Kimberly Cheadle is friends with the Cheneys? Dick, Liz. Liz went out of her way in her book to praise the Secret Service like, oh, yeah, she keeps in touch with all of the agents who protected her and her family. I believe that was Kim Cheadle. Here's something else that's very suspicious, and I'd like Dan Bongino. I think he's noted it, but if he hasn't, take a look at this. You know, Donald Trump took one to the head. Doesn't he deserve an apology? He's never gotten one. Never.
The assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th
is the most significant operational failure of the Secret Service in decades, and I am keeping him and his family in my thoughts. I would like to offer my sincerest condolences to the family of Corey Comparator, a former fire chief and a hero who was killed in this senseless shooting. I would also like to acknowledge those who were injured in Butler, David Dutch and James Copenhagen, and I wish them a speedy recovery. I would be remiss if I did not also extend my condolences on the passing of your colleague, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Ms. Jackson Lee was always engaged in the oversight of the Secret Service, and her passing is a great loss to this body.
I extend my deepest sympathies to the Comparator family and my sincere wishes for Mr. Copenhaver and Mr. Dutch's continued recovery.
So this was their first public testimony post-assassination attempt. Rao on the right did not say a damn thing about President Trump. Thoughts, prayers, apology, nothing. Kimberly Cheadle cleverly said, he's in our thoughts, right? Of course he's in your thoughts. You just let the guy get shot. It's a non-apology apology. I think that's significant. I also think this is significant. I know these guys are heroes, right? The ones who surrounded President Trump after those bullets started flying, right? But shouldn't they have gotten him off the stage a little bit faster? What the hell is this about? This violates everything that anybody knows about the Secret Service. You get the guy out of there. Now, I'm glad we got that awesome picture, but, I mean, this is a culture gone wrong. And it goes on like this, it goes on for like another minute. And possibly worse, okay? When he gets to the car, when he gets to the vehicle, all right, there he is. We start the clock as soon as he gets in the vehicle. And then they close the door. Eventually, okay, now you hit the gas and get the hell out of there, right? No, you kind of stand around, you see, car's not going anywhere. What, did you forget something? What? Yeah, you see, that's not, if I got to take my kid to the doctor, I'm going faster than that. What is going on? Well, you know what might be going on? Get this. How's this for a gang that can't shoot straight? I'm sorry, but they didn't have cell service. So they didn't know where to go. They didn't know where the hospital was because the GPS wasn't working. From testimony in front of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, it was determined that my partner and I would split off and go to the hospital. And when I first noticed that I did not have cell service, I tried to pull up the address for the hospital through my email, but I couldn't load any emails, right? Because their phone, no service there. And then my partner and I made our way over to the hospital by driving outside of the site and pinging off of a different cell tower. As we were leaving, my partner's cell phone was able to pick up cell service, and he was able to navigate to the hospital, and I followed him. They made it to the hospital. They set up another. Now, those were not the guys driving the car, but I think it's a fair, right? It could have happened to them as well. Where are we going? My cell doesn't work. Maybe you have the thing written down on a piece of paper. Maybe that piece of paper is on your wrist. Maybe you write it down on your hand. What in the hell? That's crazy. And it's also crazy that this guy Crooks, the assassin, well, still don't have his phone data, and he was watched for half the day. Have you seen this guy? Yeah, I saw this guy. Have you seen this guy? Yeah, I saw this guy. Pretty weird, right? And nobody does anything? Nobody says, hey, don't move. And what about that rangefinder thing? The guy had a rangefinder. This goes back to the bureaucratic, duplicitous nature of Secret Service leadership. And this is why we need Dan Bongino. All right, this kid had a rangefinder, right? That's suspicious. Listen to what Dick Durbin says in his follow-up question and how it's handled. It's amazing.
What is the purpose of a rangefinder? And once this assassin was identified as using a rangefinder, wasn't that proof positive that he was a dangerous individual?
So I'll say, Senator, that obviously somebody is trying to determine where they are in proximity to a location, a fixed location. I'll defer to my colleague here, but I believe it was a recreation or sports related. I thought I had read that it was a golf range finder. Nonetheless, it still would have provided him the ability to provide the distance that he was away from his intended target.
So you see what he's trying to do there? He's just given a technical description of the rangefinder. But that wasn't his whole question, right? Wasn't that enough to give you guys the heads up that this guy might be a maniac who wants to kill somebody? Dick Durbin, Democrat, on some days I like him a lot. He saw what happened. Watch this.
Wasn't that enough?
As far as raising suspicion,
Yes?
I think he was identified as being suspicious by local law enforcement.
And nothing happened.
Well, I know that local law enforcement was attempting to locate him.
Busted. Dan Bongino. Calling Dan Bongino. He would be absolutely fabulous in this role because the threats against President Trump are only going to increase, and he will be exposed on January 20th like he hasn't been since January 20th of 2017. All right? Good luck, President Trump, and good luck, Dan Bongino. I hope he gets this job.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.